Yo guys, what is going on? This is Cardinal5, and today I have a video for you guys talking about zone hitting and going to try to give you guys a few tips and pointers. First things first, I'm in practice right now, and I always recommend doing batting practice. Challenge of the week is another good way to get a lot of swings in really quick, but they have a new practice mode, so you can just put it on repeat, Kershaw versus Trout. There's some things I like about this practice mode, and there's some things I don't like because you can't do the directional training anymore, but it is what it is. So we're still able to get some good hacks in. They just might throw you balls, but that's okay. So I'm facing Kershaw here. First thing, I guess, if you guys are new to this MLB The Show series, I kind of want to talk about zone hitting, and then I'll go into some more advanced tips and some pointers later on. So if you go to options, gameplay, you guys can see right here, I'm on zone hitting. There's also directional. Now, if you guys want tutorials and some basic tutorials for the other two, directional and pure analog, I can do that. But for right now in this video, we're just going to focus on zone. I will say zone is by far the best interface to use if you're looking for consistent and good results. If you're using directional, there's a lot more RNG. So if you're looking to play online, zone is definitely by far the best way to play. You have two input types. A lot of people probably don't even know this, but you can actually use analog with zone if you want, where you can just flick up the analog. But I prefer buttons because I don't think analog really gives you much of an advantage. You can actually do analog with stride or flick, so there's a lot of customization here. We also have plate coverage indicator on or off. I like to have it on, some people like to have it off. Pci appearance, there's a new dynamic. I'll show you guys. I'm not really a fan of it, so I prefer to stick to either reticle or wedge. So right now I have it on wedge, and now it's going to change to the new dynamic Pci. So what it basically is showing me that the top part of the Pci is highlighted a little thicker yellow line. That means for a player like Trout who has some power, you want to get under the ball a little bit and try to elevate it to get some good launch angles. Now if they have more contact, you want to get on top of the ball a little bit more, either center or get on top of it. So I know a lot of this might be common sense to you guys, so let's try to move on here. So yeah, there's the dynamic, reticle, buckshot. I don't like buckshot, don't like classic. I feel like they both hinder the view way too much. And if you guys didn't know this, buckshot is the Pci appearance that you guys will see in your feedback. Alright, there's also outline and wedge. Now I recommend either wedge or reticle. Here's reticle. It's really preference though. Some people like the outline. I don't really know anybody that likes buckshot. Now here is reticle. I like it a lot too. I go back and forth between this and wedge. I just kind of like wedge because it has the center. It shows exactly where the center is. There's a dot in the middle, and it represents a bat, at least visually. So that's why I like to use that. But I go back and forth. I feel like reticle is hinders your vision a little bit less than what wedge can, but they're both good. And those are the two I would recommend. All right. So anyways, I want to talk about zone hitting and what it means. So first of all, the size of your Pci, things that affect it, which difficulty you're playing on, the hitter's attributes such as contact and plate vision. Power used to affect it a little bit by like 5%. Now it's just mainly contact and plate vision. And then also the pitcher's hits per nine and K per nine counteract the hitter's hitting attributes, and those all go into effect to give you a size of your Pci. So all those things are going into effect. So if your Pci is smaller, those might be some reasons why it's smaller or larger. Anyways, you guys always want to try to square up the ball as much as you can. If you guys have power hitters, maybe try to elevate it, get under the ball a little bit more. Start swinging here. And if you guys have contact hitters, you always want to try to square it up. But if you have contact hitters, you want to try to, have a little bit more biases towards getting on top of the ball. And if you guys are power hitters, ultimately the best result is to square it up because that's probably going to give you your best chance of the line drive or a good launch angle. But also you can try to get under the ball a little bit more if you're trying to get a sac fly or get a home run. So keep in mind that this is a Pci. It doesn't directly correlate to the barrel of the bat. It doesn't represent the bat. Pci is where your player is strictly looking, plate coverage indicator. So there can be some variance within the Pci. So you guys can definitely see some random things happen. You might think you squared up a pitch one time and it might say contact okay. Unfortunately, that's a little just bit of inconsistency within the game. Hopefully, I'd like to see them get that fixed in the near-time future. There might be also times where you're completely under the ball or your Pci might not even be touching the ball, and you hit the ball decent. It doesn't happen often, but again, there's some standard deviation there, so you may see things like that. All right, so that's basically the fundamentals of zone hitting. Now, I'm going to give you guys some tips. The first few tips I want to give you guys definitely affect the hitting and your ability to be precise with the PCI and your ability to react. So the first thing I want to talk about is having a monitor. Now, I know in the MLB community this has been a big debate, especially with the pitch speed being a lot slower. Some people feel like they've intentionally lowered the pitch speed, so people, with TVs have the same advantage as monitors. I don't necessarily agree with that, but anyways, I do agree that monitors do give people a slight advantage. If you're playing on a big 55-inch TV and there's no game mode and you're struggling to hit fastballs, it's probably because the TV has a very bad response time. So I would definitely recommend getting a monitor, or at least get a smaller TV or a TV with a game mode. You guys can all do this research online, and it'll tell you the response time. Something else that can help you with your precision of your PCI are control freaks. Now, I use control freaks, have been using them since I've been playing MLB, I think 14, ever since it went to PS4. Always been a big fan of control freaks. I started using them in Call of Duty, and now I use them in MLB The Show. I see a lot of similarities between MLB The Show and shooters. You're trying to line up the PCI, the center of the PCI with a pitch incoming. So it's all about quick reflexes and being precise. So I do think control freaks do help. They're little extenders, and they also give you some grip for your left and right analog. You don't have to use them both for your left and right analog. If you just want to focus on hitting, you can just put one on your left analog. And I think some of them can help you pitching wise, but sometimes it's best just to leave it off the right stick, because if you use pure analog pitching, it can kind of affect your pitching a little bit and might mess you up, at least until you get used to it. Anyways, the two I always recommend to people are either the CQC or the CQCX. CQC are green, and they're also concave, while the CQCX, they are convex. That means they protrude a little bit, while the CQCX, I always thought concave means they stick in a little bit, so that's kind of the difference there. They also give you good grip, but the main thing they do is they allow you to be more precise with your PCI. So in this game, it's pretty easy to get to the pitches on the borderline of the zone. It's easy to just react, and because you have a limit, your PCI only goes up this far or down this far. It's easy to get to those pitches and react. What's hard to hit in this game are the pitches in between. So I'm talking right here, right here, right in between here, right in between here. And that's what the control freaks do. They give you a little bit more precision within those parameters. So I definitely recommend you guys checking some out. Sometimes they help people, sometimes they don't. I think for the most part, I've heard good things about control freaks. And again, those were the two I recommend. I'm sure a lot of other ones work just as well. It's pretty much preference. If you guys have any other recommendations for which control freaks you guys like, let me know. I think they can definitely help your precision with the game, though. A few more things I want to talk about with zone hitting, especially what's different this year compared to years past. What I was just talking about, the PCI parameters, meaning where your PCI can go to the borderline in the strike zone. This year, it's a little bit more strict, and you can't reach out as far. Like in years past, the center of this PCI could be level with the bottom of the strike zone, and it could get to all the corners. It would be level. Like if I had Wedge on, I'll show you guys. I'm going to show you guys Wedge. You guys will see that it can't get to the bottom. It can't get to the corners. Like I said, they have shrunk the PCI parameters with the zone hitting. In a way, it does make it kind of realistic, but I'm not a huge fan of it because pitches that are low in the strike zone, I'm talking about strikes, are really hard to elevate. So keep that in mind. In years past, you could get away with chasing lower pitches and you could square them up. This year, guys, you want to be much more selective. I always preach patience. That's the number one thing, at least in my game. And I always preach it: be patient, be patient, be patient. I don't like to swing first pitch often. If I do swing first pitch, I like to mix it up. I don't like to swing 3-0 often unless there's a go ahead run on third, less than 2 outs. It just depends on the situation. But I always preach patience. I feel like things just kind of work out for themselves if you're always patient. But this year, you especially want to be patient, but you also want to be selective in your pitches. You don't want to just go down 0-2, watch every single pitch. You want to try to find pitches you can drive. And I've always said that in the past, but in this year, it applies even more. You want to look for pitches that are up or in the middle of the zone. I've noticed pitches that are up in the zone, you can crush. Like, even if they're out of the zone a little bit and they're up, I've seen them go out. So you definitely want to start looking for that early in the counts. If you get up 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, look for pitches up in the zone that you guys want to swing at. Look for fastballs. If they're throwing you a lot of changeups or breaking balls, start looking for those. Start looking for them to hang. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be chasing first pitch, and you don't want to be chasing pitches low in the zone, even if they're strikes. You want to be super selective, like that right there. Last year, I probably would have, that probably would have been a line drive. I probably would have got a better launch angle on that pitch. But this year, I couldn't get under. I could just barely get on top of it a little bit. I still got a base hit nonetheless. But those are pitches you don't want to chase early in the count, just like that. You want to be selective. You want to work the pitcher, and you want to look for pitches that you can drive and do damage on. You don't want to just be up there making contact. The pitch speed is a lot slower online. I hope they can change it, and I think they will eventually. But with it being at this slow, it allows a lot of players to be even that more patient. So take advantage of it. Try to be patient as possible and look for pitches to drive. Also, some things, if you guys are new to the show, I'll kind of explain the hitting a little bit more. Like if the pitch is middle in, you guys want to have earlier timing, swing a little bit earlier. And if the pitch is outside, you guys want to be a little bit later and either drive it to center, or right field. If the pitch is inside, you normally don't want to be late. Every now and then you can kind of get a cheap hit or a bloop hit, but in the long run, you're not going to be as successful. And same thing if a pitch is away. You don't want to be early on it because you'll roll over. There are occasions in the game where you can be successful if you square it up and it's and you're early on it. Every now and then, if it's a power hitter, they can pull it out. But for the most part, like that last pitch, I should have been just late on or a little bit later on so I could go to the other way. Now I want to talk about the feedback a little bit. Again, I mentioned earlier they use Buckshot feedback, but you guys will notice that it says swing timing. Keep in mind that swing timing is dynamic to where the pitch is pitched in the zone. So this means if a pitch is pitched inside, like I was just saying, you want to be earlier on it, but you still want to achieve good timing wherever the pitch is at in the zone. So if a pitch is inside, you want good timing. If the pitch is away, you want good timing. It's okay if the pitch is inside and you're just early, that means you're close, or if the pitch is away and you're just late, that's fine. That means you're closer and on the right track of desiring that good hit timing. Alright, so basically what I'm saying is if you have good timing on the outside and good timing on the inside, it doesn't mean your swing speed was exactly the same the last two hits. It just means you had good timing for where the pitch is pitched at and it's dynamic in the zone. So just keep that in mind. Alright, a few more tips before I end this video. And we're going to talk about pre-Pci placement. So against a lefty, I like to start my Pci generally in the middle. And this year, since the pitch speed is slower, you really don't have to cheat like up and in or middle in as much as you used to in the past, at least in my opinion. So I just kind of like to start the Pci in the middle. I might cheat it a little bit middle in because I want to take away that middle in pitch, like right here. So if they pitch it there, I'll be able to hit it, and if they pitch up, I can get to it, and if they pitch down, I can get to it. I don't recommend doing this, especially with the pitch speed being slow, but in the past, I do not recommend starting your Pci like right up here and then trying to react. Because if you do that, and this is kind of where control freaks can help you. If you get a pitch there, sure, but a lot of people, they'll start their Pci up and in, and then they'll get a pitch middle in, and they'll try to, react, but they'll overcompensate and undershoot the ball, and it'll just be a weak fly out, like a jam fly out, pretty much like that one like there. All right, so always try to take away that middle in because it's harder to get to that if you start your Pci either lower or higher. Now, if you have success doing something else, that's all fine and dandy. This is just the way I like to hit. And if you're facing the same handedness, I like to do about the same thing. If it's the same handedness, let's change this real quick. Same handedness, I like to cheat a little bit more middle in. It's a little bit more exaggerated. If it's opposite handedness, I like to leave it close to middle as possible. Alright, so that's what I like to do in my pre-Pci. Those are just some basic tips. I do a lot of different things in different situations, but that's how I've pretty much been hitting since MLB 12, or no, MLB 13, 14, once I started changing my approach a little bit, and I've had pretty good success online. So that's pretty much going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you guys learned a thing or two, and if you guys have any tips or comments, feel free to help each other out in the comments. Again, if you guys have any questions about hitting, my Twitter is @CardinalBird5, and I also want to mention that I do have a partnership with Twitch, and I am giving out a one gameplay tip, advanced gameplay tip on my channel. So if you guys are interested in subbing on my Twitch account, if you have Amazon Prime or Twitch Prime, you can get one free subscription. and I am going to be doing more advanced tips for that. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I can set you guys in the right direction at least. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys. This is Cardinal Bird 5 signing out. Peace.